Today at Mr. and Mrs. Emerson Horseshoe Supply, giving a seminar on horseshoeing, shoemaking. It's my thoughts on horseshoeing. It's sponsored by Mustad Delta. I've done clinics for Mustad for about 20 years, and I mean it's taken me all over the world. I've been a very fortunate farrier. I've become sympathetic to other traditions, other environments. I realize that people have to shoot different ways in different environments. Feet react differently in different environments. So working for Mustad's been invaluable that way for me. I do revert back to my basics every single time. You know, it's just habit. You know, I've got strong basics, and that's what's helped me over the years. You know, when you have a lack of equipment or difficult feet to shoe, I go back to my basics. Don't complicate it. You know, a lot of times we're using products and we're using them as first aid for bad horseshoeing. So we've got to ask ourselves whether we need them or whether we need to change our skills. You know, I try to shoot pretty simply generally. And we can be efficient, we can then go straight on to our toe bend. But the toe bend is your most important bend, so you must put a lot of detail into it, because that's the whole rest of your shoe. If you get your toe bend right, you're not going to have to reshape your shoe the whole way through. Level it. Work the edges, overlapping your hammer blows, then knock off the back edge. Now, you notice I didn't set my dividers there, and I don't set my dividers to a set limit. I don't necessarily put a mark on where the crease is going to be. All that mark tells me is that I've got an equal distance each side of center. If I think that that's too far back, I can put my crease 1/8 of an inch in front of it, or 1/4 of an inch in front of it, or behind it if I think it's too close. So I don't go and reset those all the time. All those are doing is giving me a reference point that's equal. Challenge yourself, or you say, I'm going to take 3 heats to make something, or 2 heats to make something. So you also have to challenge yourself and make mistakes because you've done it too quickly. So you need to be able to do it slowly and do it very correctly, and then build up the speed. But you need to you do need to challenge yourself. The speed isn't going to come naturally as a natural progression. You've got to challenge yourself. Your work will go backwards in quality, but then you can raise the standard back at that speed. I keep it straight when I'm bumping. If I don't keep it straight, the energy escapes. You got to keep the material going into itself. Now I'll thicken up the outside, and I purposely decide which side I'm going to forge it together on, because the side I hit is going to thicken more than the side that's in contact with the anvil. And with a roadster, we want the outside edge to be thicker, because when we bend that thick toe, the inside edge will thicken up anyway. There should be about 3/4 of an inch or so in that then. Yep, exactly 3/4. Now think about my heel cork. I'm going to upset the outside corner, because this is a Scottish style heel cork, and if you don't upset the outside corner, when you bend it down to bend it into a heel cork, the outside corner will disappear on you. So So I'll just give it a few strokes in the outside corner to thicken that first. Upset the outside corner. The edge of the anvil, set it in. Got to go at least halfway through to get the check big enough to give you a heel shape later. Then pick it up, work it up to the corner, and that brings the heel in. By lifting up and forging it, you end up pulling the heel back to center, so you've worked the outside of the heel in, so you get your heel check like a normal shoe. Knock up my edge just a little bit. Box it off. Mark my fullering. And every blow on the fuller is deliberate, getting all the pieces to overlap. I put a tight toe bend in because it's a wide web shoe, and I set my toe to the angle to the toe of the foot. Work the inside edge where it's thickened up. Work the outside edge to thicken it back up. Now I'll flatten my toe. Work my edges. I try not to have to leave too much to go back to for later. I try to get it first time. Now I make my inside branch first. And it's knowing whether you're going to make a left or a right, because that's the confusing thing. You make a shoe and it's all right. If you've made the wrong side, it's a zero. So there's a guideline. If I hold it in the center of the toe with the inside branch on the anvil, if I pull my material to the right, the wedge to the right, that's going to be a right shoe. If I move the material to the left, it's going to be a left shoe. So it just depends which way you. If my wedge faces this way, it's a right shoe. If it faces that way, it's a left. And that's a pretty simple guideline. And you know, it's something you don't have to start thinking about. You know, it's right there. If it goes that way, it's a right. If it goes that way, it's a left. I'm going to bend the heel cork. I'll look to my outside corner. Put it on the corner of the anvil. See it there? That is parallel to the face of the anvil. And I pull it up, square the outside a bit. Pull it forward. Let's work it up so it's nice and square, but not over forging it. Clean up the inside. what we can see there, we see a pretty normal heel shape on the bearing surface. So when you box it up, it'll look like a normal heel from that side. And then you've got the heel cork on the other side. So I'm going to make a right hind this time out of the roadster. So the wedge has got to go in this direction. So I start drawing it down from halfway down the branch, narrowing it up as I come to the heel, and I'm pulling the heel. I said a right, didn't I? Yeah, so I'm pulling it this direction. My wedge is going there. I put it over, just a bit longer than I want the wedge. I set it down. Bring it up to the wedge. Take away the distortion on the outside edge, straightening it. Put it over the edge and push the wedge back, building height. Once you got high enough, then we can start putting shape into it. Okay, and you can see we've done quite a lot in one heat. So I've got a lot of my drawing down done, and I've got the bulk of my wedge done. And then ready, you can see that's going to be a right hind, can't you? Inside branch. It's going to be standing on this foot. What's important, you don't move your fuller too far each time. Then you get nice smooth bottom in the fullering or creasing. I'll go 3/4 of the depth of the material. Clean my work up before I level it. If I don't clean it up before I level it, I'll hammer all the roughness into the surface. Nice overlapping blows. Work the frog eye in. Work the back edge. And really, a draft shoe like this shouldn't be rasped. Rasping shoes only came in on speed horses, where you were doing fine work. These shoes were all hammer finished because there was no need to rasp them. They were the working horses of life. So both these shoes would have normally been hammer finished shoes. So I got my branch finished there. Okay. Half my shoe is made. So with the wedge, we want to try and put as much detail in without the rasp. Okay? If they allow you to rasp it, it's okay. But really, for me, this is probably pretty much a hammer-made shoe. I'll put my detail in my heel. I'll bring it back together. and I keep forging it together until I get all the little divots out of it, all the little marks out of it. And once I got it nice and clean and even in the surfaces, you can see there it's fairly clean. Now I'll start putting the shape into it. Diagonal, taking the diagonal corners off. Get nice smooth surfaces on it. And you keep hitting surfaces until you get the shine that you want, that look like new bar stock. Like now, I want to forge this out. I'll wire brush it. What I'm looking for is I'll keep hitting in the same place until I get that new material shine on it. It looks like new steel, not hammered steel. Okay, you know how a new piece of bar stock comes with a really slick, clean, glassy surface? That's what I'm looking at putting on with my hammer.
How do you decide about the taper?
Taper would be to the foot, but what I normally look for is something around 5/8 at the end, so that it's got a proper bearing surface on it, so that it won't sink into the foot, but you can still fit it tight. So the whole idea behind this is a working horse, but it's a faster working horse. If you look at the size of the shoe, it's much smaller than the other one. This would go on probably a 14-2 horse. Okay, and he's pulling a small wagon, he might be doing a fast trot. And so you've got the safety on the inside so he doesn't hit himself, where the other shoe is designed for a working horse that's working very slowly. This would be your faster carriage horse, which you see in carriage driving now in the competitions, and you'd fit the outside branch with a bit of fullness to give support, but the inside branch should fit to the foot. So that's why the branch tapers. If it was a full width branch, you couldn't fit it tight.
What about the other taper?
The thickness, it can come down to about 5/16 in front of the heel, because with these, they're normally a road horse, so the heel cork would be going down in not very much, okay, beyond the road surfaces or gravel surfaces. And so the heel of the shoe in here isn't going to wear out. And because that's not going to come in contact with the road, then we can set it down to make the shoe lighter. And by setting it down, it also exaggerates the height of the heel. The heel really isn't that much higher than the toe. A third of it would just be coming to level with the toe. But it's getting these nice glossy surfaces on your shoe, so when you bend it, it looks like new steel, not like something you got to grind the heck out of.